You know, this always mystified me. I've had people telling me for years and years and years, you know, Zig, when I get a little down, I'll pop in one of your tapes. And, man, it always gives me a lift. I always thought they were talking about a psychological lift. I've since learned that they're talking about a whole lot more than that. But let me tie that to another question. How many of you, as a general rule, deliberately drive your automobiles until it's completely out of gas and you're at the mercy of other motorists to take you to the car and get a refill? How many of you do that on purpose? Not accidentally, but on purpose. Or how many of you, as a general rule, when you see the empty needle moving toast to empty, you say, you know, I got to go get me some gasoline? How many of you generally do that? Can I see your hand? These salespeople and other people say to me, when I get down, I pop in one of your tapes. Now, is that smart? Or should they pop in the tape before they get down? It's easier to stay up than it is to get up. The reason we recommend listening 16 times is because if you listen to it 16 times, by the time you get through, you can, in fact, be finishing a lot of the sentences and a lot of the stories. Now you're talking to yourself. That's what you're saying to you. And what you say to you is dramatically more important than what I say to you. Now, I've been talking, as nearly as if my climbing is right, 2 hours and about 20 minutes since you got here. Now, most of the time when people have been sitting there for 2 hours and 20 minutes, you know, listen to somebody beat their gums and really, you know, get after them with a lot of enthusiasm, you know, they begin to wonder, boy, when is this fella going to get through? As a matter of fact, man, I'm getting tired. I'm going to make a statement right now, and if it's true, I want to see those hands just pop up. If it is not true, I want you just to keep your hands by your side. How many of you are honest enough to do that? Can I see your hands, please? All right? I see virtually every hand going up. Now, even though you've been sitting here all this length of time, sitting right there in your seat, at this moment you're more energized physiologically than you were when you sat down. Now, if that's true, let me see those hands go up. What about that? Now, hopefully you're not just being ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason I tied the honesty bit in there a little bit earlier, okay? Because you see, something has happened to you while you have been sitting there. Dr. Forrest Tennant, in my judgment, the #1 drug authority in America. He was the consultant for the Justice Department, for the NFL, for Texaco, for any number of other organizations, NASCAR included. Dr. Forrest Tennant is a friend of mine. He went to a seminar I conducted out in Anaheim, California, back in 1989. Now, the seminar was from 6:30 in the evening until 10:30 in the evening. The participants had been in an afternoon seminar from 12:30 to 4:30. Before I started at 6:30, Dr. Tennant took blood samples from 5 of the people there. Actually, they just gave them to him. We didn't have to take them. But he got blood from 5 of the people. Now, when I got through, he took other blood samples from the same 5. The endorphin level was up to 300% higher when I got through after 10:30 at night than it had been when I started. Since then, he's done a series of other experiments and has discovered that, for example, when the brain is activated, and that's what's happening right now, that the other neurotransmitters come in and flood the system. Serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and endorphins, and a lot of the other neurotransmitters. And you are physiologically energized, not just psychologically. This was written up in the May 1989 Meetings and Conventions magazine. Here's what he says. There is a biochemical basis for why people feel good after these talks. Something in hearing about success gives us an emotional charge that releases those chemicals into the bloodstream, and that makes the body function better. While these effects last no more than a few hours, regular doses of motivation will lead to better health, happiness, and achievement. That's in the May 1989 issue of Meetings and Conventions magazine. Now, the reason I do all of my recordings in front of live audiences, and the reason we insert the humor in there as much as we do, is because we want to get those endorphins and the dopamine and all of those other things in there flowing, because they literally physiologically energize you. People are always telling me, where on earth do you get that energy level? Well, let me tell you, first of all, to the very best of my ability, I practice what I preach. What do you call somebody that practices one thing and preaches another? Hypocrite. As you know, a hypocrite's a fellow that gripes and complains about the sex, nudity, and violence on his VCR. Now, that is... a hypocrite's a fellow that just simply is not himself on Sunday, I get so ticked. A lot of people, they say, I'd go to church, but ain't nothing but a bunch of hypocrites down there. I always am so tempted to say to them, come on down, feller, we got room for one more. Besides, if a hypocrite is standing between you and God, that just means the hypocrite's closer to God than you are. Well, anyhow, the activity that goes on in your mind, you remember I've been saying several times, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. Dr. Tennant says, listening to tapes early in the morning will jumpstart the flow of serotonin. Now, serotonin is the feel-good neurotransmitter. That makes you feel good about yourself. It generally doesn't hit the system full force until about 10 o'clock in the morning. There's another way to jumpstart the flow of serotonin. That's do something really nice for someone else. It's amazing how good you feel about yourself when you do something really nice for somebody else. I'm talking about a philosophy that's other people-centered. I'm talking about a procedure that works. I'm going to make this statement. If I could not replace my cassette player in my automobile, $50,000 would not buy the one I have. I would prefer to drive a used Volkswagen with a cassette deck. You've invested your money in the tapes. You've invested your time. I really encourage you to listen and listen carefully.